You know what? If you like night runs, bring someone with you. Hell, bring 2 people. Just don't run alone. Seriously, never run alone. I learned that the hard way. Back in high school, I was a junior on the cross-country team. I wasn't the fastest, but I had stamina. Running was my therapy, my escape. Just me, the road, and the rhythm of my breath. I craved the solitude. No music, no distractions. Just movement and silence. There was this woman, Mrs. Alden, who lived past the edge of town, just before the forest preserve started. She had a wild little puppy named Penny, half lab, half maniac, and she hired me to run her a few times a week. $5 a run. Easy money. I got to exercise. Penny got her zoomies out, and Mrs. Alden got a quiet house for an hour or so. Everybody won. The area around her house was different, rural in a way that didn't feel nostalgic or cozy. Isolated. There were some scattered homes, long-abandoned farms with rusting tractors sitting in overgrown fields, and this weird, crumbling cemetery tucked behind a church that had burned down decades ago. Most unsettling of all were the woods. Locals whispered about that stretch, said it used to be home to a cult's commune back in the 70s. One of those off-grid, end-of-the-world places that didn't end well. No one liked to talk about it. Whenever I asked, people clammed up or changed the subject. Still, I figured that was just small-town superstition. I was 18. I thought I was invincible. It was a Thursday evening, early spring. One of those dusky April nights where the wind still carried a winter bite, but the trees had started to bud. I remember the light. It was that orange-purple kind of twilight that only lasts a few minutes. I clipped Penny's leash on, laced up, and started our usual loop. We cut through the neighborhood, crossed an old stone bridge, and took a back road that wound along the edge of the preserve. 2 miles in, it got quiet, like unnaturally quiet. No cars, no birds. Even the bugs were silent, just the steady thump of my shoes, my breath, and Penny's quick panting. Then Penny froze. Mid-stride, her whole body locked up. Her ears went high, and she let out this low, mournful whimper. I slowed down, confused, and followed her gaze. There, between 2 trees, was a man. Half concealed by the trunks, leaning out just enough for me to see his face. He looked about mid-40s, short, stocky. He wore a thick mud-colored jacket and a dark beanie pulled low over his head. Gloves, too, which struck me as odd, given the weather. But it was his eyes that chilled me. They were locked onto mine, unblinking, expressionless. He wasn't startled or surprised to be seen. If anything, it felt like he wanted to be seen. I gave a half wave, tried to make it seem casual. Maybe he was just some hiker or a hunter. But my instincts were already buzzing. We kept jogging. I picked up the pace slightly, pretending everything was fine. 10, maybe 12 steps later, Penny stopped again. This time, tail tucked, full body trembling. I turned around. The man had moved, no longer in the woods. He was now standing at the edge of the road, just a few feet away, still staring, head slightly tilted now, like he was analyzing me, like I was prey. A cold, nauseating feeling spread through my chest. I wanted to run. Every fiber of my being screamed it, but I kept walking. Not because I was brave, because I didn't want to give him the satisfaction of seeing me panic. Then I saw it. A glint of metal in his hand. An axe. Not a little hatchet. A full-sized woodcutter's axe. Long, heavy. The blade caught the last shimmer of sunlight before it dipped behind the trees. That was all I needed. "Go!" I shouted, yanking Penny's leash, and we ran. Not jogged, ran. I heard the crunch of gravel behind me, the unmistakable sound of him running too. I didn't dare look back, but I could hear him. Footsteps thundering after us, heavier than they should have been. No breathing, no wheezing, no cursing, just the pounding of his boots and the swish of his coat. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel human. I veered off the road into a subdivision, cutting through backyards, leaping over fences. Penny was practically airborne, ears flapping, her little legs scrambling to keep up. I don't remember most of that sprint, just adrenaline, white-hot panic, the pain in my side, the taste of blood in my throat from sucking in so much cold air. Eventually, I ducked behind an old wooden shed, crouching low in the dirt. I clutched Penny against me, trying to control my breath. Every beat of my heart felt like it would explode out of my chest. And then, silence. No footsteps, no shouts. I slowly looked up. He was there. At the top of the hill behind the houses, standing perfectly still. The axe was dangling at his side. No more snarling expression, just a blank, hollow stare. We made eye contact. My blood turned to ice. Then headlights swept across the street. A car turned the corner, and just like that, he turned and walked back into the woods. Not hurried, just vanished. I waited behind that shed until full dark. I didn't care about the money. I didn't care that I had mud all over me, or that I'd lost a shoe somewhere in a ditch. I just wanted to get home. When I got back to Mrs. Alden's, I told her Penny had gotten spooked by a deer. I forced a smile, took the $5 with a shaking hand, and walked home in the shadows. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell my coach. Because if I told the truth, they'd never let me run alone again. And at the time, I wasn't ready to give that up. Running was mine. It was the only thing that ever made me feel free. But I didn't run that direction again, and I never, ever ran without someone else. Sometimes, late at night when I'm drifting off, I think about him. That man. That thing. And the way he didn't breathe. The way he waited until I saw him before moving. Like he was studying me. I wonder if he was part of that old commune, or something that was left behind. I'll never know. But I know this. That road wasn't abandoned, and I wasn't supposed to be there. I grew up in a quiet suburban neighborhood, one of those places surrounded by long stretches of farmland and winding country roads that seem to go on forever. You know the kind, mailboxes spaced far apart, the air always smelling like cut grass or wood smoke, and the nights so still you can hear your own heartbeat if you stand outside long enough. On the surface, it was the perfect place to grow up, peaceful and safe. But it wasn't. Looking back, I think there were signs from the beginning. It's just that nobody knew how to read them, or maybe nobody wanted to. I was 10 years old the first time I saw the white SUV. My little sister and I were walking our dogs near the front of our street. It was late afternoon, sun just beginning to dip behind the trees, and we were laughing about something silly, probably nothing at all. That's when we heard a man's voice call out to us, "Hey, you come here." We both turned. At the mouth of our street, just where the pavement meets the main road, sat a big white SUV. The windows were tinted, but the driver's window was down, and a man was leaning out, waving us over. I remember his hand. It was big, calloused. He gestured like he'd dropped something, like he needed help. I remember his hair too, curly and blonde, like the kind of golden curls you only see in shampoo commercials or children's dolls. It didn't match his face, which was shadowed and tense. Even from that distance, something about him felt wrong. My little sister started to step forward. She was 8. I grabbed her arm. "No," I whispered, and we turned around. I didn't run, didn't scream, just walked away, pulling her gently with me. My stomach twisted itself into knots. When I looked back over my shoulder, the SUV was gone. I told my mom. She said he was probably lost, maybe needed directions, but she praised me for walking away. Even then, I remember feeling like that wasn't enough. That good job being safe wasn't the end of the story. I wish I had pressed harder. A year later, it was Halloween. I was 11. That night, word spread fast through the neighborhood that a navy blue sedan, no plates, was following kids as they trick-or-treated. Some parents swore they saw it creeping along the curb, idling with its lights off. A father, one of the newer families on our block, tried to approach the car, probably to confront whoever was inside. The sedan lunged forward. The driver actually tried to hit him, then sped off, tires squealing into the night. Nobody got a plate. Nobody saw a clear face. Just a blur, and silence after that. No arrests, no follow-up. Just parents clutching their kids a little tighter. Doors locked a little earlier. Lights left on through the night. I think deep down, we all knew it was connected to the SUV. We just didn't know how. Time passed. Life marched on. By the time I was 15, I'd stopped thinking about it much. That's how things like this settle into a place like mine. They drift out of view until you start convincing yourself they were never that serious to begin with. Then came 2020. Lockdown and quarantine. The world ground to a halt, and suddenly I was stuck at home with nothing but time and anxiety. I started running to stay sane, just light jogs around the neighborhood, early mornings mostly, before people woke up. It was peaceful and so therapeutic. At first, but about a week in, I noticed the white SUV again. It passed me on a back road near the woods. Just a glance, really. The windows were darker now, but I swear I recognized the front grille, the cracked headlight on the driver's side, the dent above the wheel well. Same make, same color, same feeling in my gut. Still, I brushed it off. The next day, it passed me again. Different time, different street. Third day, it slowed down. By the fifth day, I was actively changing my route. New paths, earlier times, different clothes. Didn't matter. The SUV kept showing up, always somewhere along the route, like it was adapting, tracking me, mirroring me. And I knew then it wasn't a coincidence. On the 11th day, I decided to run in the evening instead, right around dusk. I figured it would throw him off. I was wrong. I had just turned onto a trail near the tree line behind our development. Not a popular path, overgrown and quiet. It runs for about a quarter mile before looping back into the neighborhood near the school. That's where it happened. I came around a bend and saw it parked there. The SUV, waiting, not moving, no lights, parked sideways, partially blocking the path. I stopped dead in my tracks. My heart started to thrum in my chest like a war drum. I instinctively turned around, and that's when I saw the sedan, navy blue, pulled in from the opposite side. I hadn't even heard it. For a second, just a second, I froze. I was boxed in. Then I saw movement under the sedan. A hand. Someone was underneath it, hiding. The scream that tore through my chest wasn't human. It was something primal, something ancient. So I sprinted. I don't know how I did it. I don't remember how fast I moved or what direction I chose. I just know I ran off the path, into the trees, into the thick brambles and thorny brush that tore at my legs. But behind me, I heard footsteps, heavy ones, branches cracking, breathing. He was really chasing me. I didn't look back. My body wouldn't let me. I crashed through the woods, lungs burning, legs churning, until I burst out into someone's backyard, near the far end of our street. The porch light snapped on. A man opened the back door, startled. I collapsed onto the grass, sobbing. Not even words, just raw terror pouring out of me. He called the police. Officers came. I gave them everything I had: description, make, color. But no plates, no names, no clear faces. They filed a report, took a statement, promised to patrol the area for a while, and that was that. But they never found them. They never even really looked. Now I'm 21, and I still live here. Different house, but the same neighborhood. Every once in a while, I'll hear about a car like that. White SUV, no plates, parked near the school or by the trailhead, usually when kids are out. Sometimes it's a sedan, always gone before the cops get there. I think it's the same man, the one with the curly blonde hair. He's still out there, watching and waiting, and I think he's been doing it for years. I know. He's been trying to take children from this neighborhood since I was a kid, and I think he's still trying. Every now and then I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't pulled my sister away that day, if I'd gone up to his window, if that parent on Halloween hadn't stepped in front of that sedan, and worse. I wonder if someone didn't get away, someone less cautious, someone smaller, someone who trusted too easily. I haven't gone on a run since. I tried once, early this spring. I laced up my shoes, opened the door, and stepped outside. And there it was, parked at the end of the block. White SUV, engine running. I went back inside, locked every door and closed every blind. Some nights, when the wind's just right, I can hear tires rolling slowly over gravel. That slow, deliberate crunch. Sometimes it passes by. Other nights, it doesn't. And I stay awake wondering who he'll come for next. Some people run to clear their heads. Others run for the high, the rhythm, the breathing, the burn in their lungs. Me? I used to run because it made me feel safe. It gave me control, structure. And when the world felt chaotic or uncertain, I knew I could lace up my shoes and outrun the noise, even just for a while. But I don't run at night anymore. Not since that night with Logan. We were just trying to stay in shape. That was all it ever was. I'd known Logan since middle school. He was one of the few people who stuck around as life pulled everyone else in different directions. We were both in our 20s, still living in the same quiet neighborhood where we grew up, and we made a habit of running together after dinner. Nothing intense, just a few miles around the block. Our neighborhood's safe, or at least it used to feel that way. Streetlights every few yards, wide sidewalks, the occasional jogger or dog walker waving as you passed. A good place to run, predictable. But that night, we wanted something different, something harder. "Let's take the trail," Logan said, stretching his legs on the curb. It was late October, cold enough to see your breath, but not cold enough to stop us. "The trail?" I asked, already regretting saying yes. "Yeah, through the woods and out onto the dirt road. We'll loop around by the farmland and hit the main road back. Adds about 2 miles. He gave me that stupid grin he always used when he knew I was about to agree to something dumb. I sighed. Fine. But we keep a good pace. That road's pitch black after sunset. Logan just nodded and adjusted his headlamp. I had one too, but it barely lit the path ahead. The batteries were cheap, and the beam flickered anytime I moved too fast. Still, we took off like we always did, side by side, footsteps sinking in that satisfying way. The first mile was easy. Familiar streets, familiar rhythm. But once we turned off the main road and stepped into the trailhead, the world changed. The trees swallowed the light. Their branches stretched overhead, blotting out the stars. The path narrowed, twigs cracked underfoot. The only sound was our breathing and something else. Footsteps behind us. At first, I thought it was an echo, but then I realized the rhythm wasn't quite right. It wasn't delayed. It wasn't random. It was matched. When we sped up, so did the sound. When we slowed down, it did too. I looked over at Logan. He was staring straight ahead, but his jaw was tight. "You hear that?" I asked. "Yeah," he muttered. "Just don't stop." We ran faster, hearts racing faster than our feet could carry. Every few steps I'd glance back, but there was nothing there. Just the woods, just darkness, and then silence. We broke through the tree line, breathing hard, and stepped onto the dirt road. It stretched ahead of us like a scar, flat, straight, and endless, flanked by towering oaks and uncut fields. No lights, no houses, nothing but the sound of our own steps on packed earth. "No one's there," Logan said, trying to laugh it off, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. "I swear someone was—" "I know," he cut in, "but they're not now. Just keep moving." So we did, but something about the dirt road was worse than the trail. The stillness, the way the trees leaned in. I kept looking into the woods on our left, like I couldn't help it. And that's when I saw it. Movement. A figure, just a flicker of it, slipping behind a tree. "Logan," I said, grabbing his arm. "What?" "There's someone in the woods." He looked. I didn't see anything. I did. Swear to God, someone just stepped behind that tree. "Man, you're freaking yourself out." "Am I?" I snapped. "First the footsteps, now this." "Just breathe," he said. "We're halfway there. Let's finish the loop and get home. You're probably just seeing shadows." But I knew what I saw, and the rest of the run felt like walking through a dream you can't wake up from, where everything looks almost normal, but something's just wrong. The trees were too quiet, the fields too still. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. We didn't speak again until we were on the way back. The dirt road was almost behind us. The trailhead glowed faintly ahead, where the main road's lights bled into the trees. We could see safety, civilization. That's when we heard rustling, not from the woods, from the road behind us. We froze, and both of us turned. There, about 30 feet back, stood a figure, not walking, not hiding, just standing, facing away from us. I'll never forget what he looked like. Black hoodie, the kind that hangs too low over the shoulders. Khaki pants, filthy, ripped at the knees, and old, worn-out black shoes that looked a size too big. His hands hung at his sides like dead weight. "Who the hell are you?" Logan called out, his voice too loud in the silence. The figure didn't move, didn't even flinch. Then he laughed. It was sharp, sudden, and wrong. Not like someone laughing at a joke, not even like someone trying to be scary. It was gleeful, childlike, and broken. A sound that scraped something inside me I didn't know could be touched. And then he turned, slowly. Those eyes, wide, glassy, and vacant. That skin, pale like wax, like he hadn't seen sunlight in years. And his mouth, curled into something that wasn't quite a smile, more like a grimace, or a mask trying to mimic human expression. The laughter stopped, but the stare didn't. We didn't speak. We just ran. I've never run that fast in my life. Logan either. Our feet hit the road like thunder, our lungs seizing, legs pumping, hearts clawing to break free of our chests. Behind us, the laugh echoed again, closer this time, like it was chasing us, gaining. We didn't look back. The fear was too thick, too heavy, like if we looked, it would slow us down just enough to let it reach us. The trail blurred. The trees vanished behind streetlights. We didn't stop until we reached Logan's house, burst through the garage door, slammed it shut, locked it, double-checked every window. I dropped to my knees and threw up. Not from the running, from the fear, from the sound of that laugh, from the image of that thing turning to face us. We sat in the kitchen, backs against the fridge, lights on, unable to speak. Our hands trembled. Logan stared straight ahead for almost an hour. I kept asking, "Did you see his face?" And every time, he just nodded. Eventually, we made a pact. Right there on the kitchen floor, with the metallic taste of adrenaline still in our mouths. We would never run after dark again. Not through the trail. Not on the dirt road. Not in that neighborhood even. Ever. It's been almost 2 years since that night. I still run sometimes, mornings only. Well-lit parks, public spaces, crowds, but it's not the same. Running used to be an escape. Now it's a reminder, because somewhere out there, in the woods, on that road, something is waiting, and it laughs when it sees you run.